Well, welcome back to another episode of the Patriot Broadcasting Project. Today we are catching back up with the saga of the Calkins family ranch. With me today again, as always, Tyler Calkins-Stoeser and Aaron Prince. Fellas, welcome back to the show.
Hi, Bubba. Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us, Bubba.
Yeah, well, it's been a little while, and as always with this situation, a lot has happened. But we
Oh,
wanted to kind
geez.
of catch up a little bit about something that we've talked about extensively before we get too far on today and talking about, recent court dates that are be coming up and things that have happened since then. But we wanted to really focus in on specifically the partnership agreement, which is which pretty much the null and void their entire argument, right? So let's kind of give you a chance, Tyler, to talk about the partnership agreement and to kind of give us the details that we've glossed over a few times here.
Yeah, so the partnership agreement will start off with what's its name? It's the Calkins Legacy Land, right? That means something to it by itself. Calkins Legacy Land. Well, we're going first off, you got definitions. What's the definition of a family member? This thing just gives its own definitions. A family member is a lineal descendant of Robert C. Calkins, not Robert P. Calkins, my great-grandfather, Robert C. Calkins, my grandfather. You know who the lineal descendants are of him? Well, there's only three people. Well, if you want to count some offsprings too, but we'll keep it simple for this. You got me, my mom, she's gone now, sadly, and my sister. So then you go into the partnership's purpose and authority. The partnership's purpose and authority, the partnership's purpose is to generate wealth and provide a means for the family to become a knowledgeable of managing, preserving, and maintaining family assets, right? That's the purpose and authority of it. That's Article 4. Then you got control fiduciary interest. Most important one, though, is Article 4.3. The Article 4.3 says right here, I'll read it right off the words. To continue ownership of family assets and restrict non-family members' rights to acquire fiduciary interest in family assets. Okay, family member, lineal descendant. Are hired hands lineal descendants? No, they're not. Then you got Article 4.3, the purpose and authority. To accomplish the partnership's purpose, the partnership is authorized to, but not limited to, the following. So everything after 4.3 is to only accomplish the partnership's purpose. And anything in violation of accomplishing the partnership's purpose is void and to no effect. So where they use legal maneuvers because they had this fraudulent will that was altered and it doesn't even have a seal on it, to say, oh, Chris Hathaway and Kip Scott, and I'll name your names, get 98% controlling interest of the partnership, well, that's a violation. Then you go to Article 11. Article 11 is the general overall of the partnership agreement. Right here. The ownership and transferability of interest in the partnership are substantially restricted. Neither record, title, or beneficiary ownership of any partnership units may be transferred or encumbered except or otherwise set forth in this agreement. This partnership is formed by those who know and trust one another. They will have surrendered certain management rights and obligations based upon their relationship, trust, capital, and / or real property material to the partnership's business inventions. Let's see. Objections and its fiduciary or the federal tax structure. Any unauthorized transfers of the partnership units may cause a substantial hardship to the partnership. Well, let's see. Substantial hardship. You broke it up. You changed its tax structure. We lost my mom. And now you're trying to subjugate me and limit me to what was rightfully mine. Right? Substantial hardship to the partnership, jeopardizing its capital base and adversely affecting its tax structure. These restrictions upon ownership and transfer are not intended as a penalty, but as a method to protect and preserve existing relationships. Well, let's be real. You guys scorched them. Family ownership and the partnership's ability to continue in operation.
What does it say about the courts in there?
Oh, yeah, Article 19.3. Article 9.3 says that right here, this agreement shall be binding on all parties, successors, heirs, devisees, assignees, legal representative, executors, or administration.
I think you said it correctly, pirates. You meant you.
Then you got what we got Article 7, 7.4. No limited partner may cause the partnership's dissolving or winding up by court decree or otherwise.
They don't have any authority to make any managerial decisions.
And I already know their arguments because they've already said them. Their arguments are bullshit. Sorry about my language, but
It's warranted at this point, Tyler. You're okay.
11.2. Number 6, the sale, transfer, assignment, gift, or bequest by the general partner to a family member as defined in Article 3.14 will admit the family member as a limited partner. Well, they wanted to say my great-grandfather's place was not partnership property. Well, just because it wasn't titled so doesn't mean it isn't. It's always been part of the family ranch. And to take that piece out, it adversely affects its tax structure. You got South Dakota Code Law 48-7A-203. When partnership property is to be deemed owned by the partnership. Well, it meets all that. It's historically always been operating as one unit. Cattle fucking wintered there. Hay was produced there. Partnership assets went to that land. My grandfather got a divorce, cost $2 million. He was paying that fucking loan with partnership assets, making it partnership property. And then it goes one more step further. You want to say, oh, well, it was a partnership property. Well, that's a cheap way out, you know. It's still a family asset. No matter which way you want to look at it, it's a family asset. Doesn't matter. You have no right to it. So that second cousin of mine down in Florida, Jessica, she's something else. You're not a lineal descendant, Jessica. That's not your land. So now you trespassed me on my own property, my birthright?
Well,
That's sick.
and I don't know. I mean, she's a means to an end, right? I mean, she didn't know anything about all this until she was
Oh no, she
contacted.
was well cornered. It's been
She-
conspiracy. They've been
So since the beginning, me and my mom, we knew that Chris Hathaway and Jessica had been in cahoots and talking together. You seen my text messages online that I posted because Chris came over there and tried to tap into our water source, right? You were putting cattle at risk there, Chris, because you were taking water away from our leasers. Not only that, there's 3 people on that wellhead. There's 2 other families on there. You wanted to say you got permission from everybody, but you didn't because I called and asked, and you didn't. And then I told you didn't have the right to it, and you laughed at me. Pretty shitty deal. And then, what do you know? A few weeks later, you go and tap into it anyway. I'm sure you've seen my videos there, Bubba. I dragged that pipe back over to him like I should have done, rightfully so.
should have done it in pieces.
Well, I'm not heartless. But you can't come and
Not the
take
cattle's
water from
fault.
our land and go transfer it to other land because you wanted to or because you think you could. Now, that cousin was drawing up maps in the same exact way Chris Hathaway was. Imagine that. That cousin wasn't smart enough. She didn't know that land well enough to know where all the water lines are and where all the tanks are.
Has
except
she
for-
ever
oh,
been
what-
to the property?
Oh, since it's been ours? Not that I've seen her. Doesn't mean she hasn't maybe been there, you know, say like I was gone DJing on the week and she might have stopped by, but as far as I know, no. I mean, I got cameras out there. I ain't seen her. You know, doesn't mean that she maybe. I don't know. She didn't come say hi to me. That's for damn sure. So supposedly you care about something so much, but you're going to destroy it. And I knew as soon as they removed me from that land that this was going to happen. Now I'm trespassed and I can't even go to the other side of the property that I've been able to go on to my entire life.
I've been trespassed. I don't even go out there.
Yeah, they trespassed Aaron and he doesn't even go out there. Shit. This is just sick and wrong. And we need people to stand up because guess what? If you don't think it's going to happen to you or your family, you're mistaken.
Yeah, I'm sure you never
Absolutely.
thought that this would happen because you had all of these agreements in place, because your grandfather had this forethought of having these partnership agreements and all the rest of it in place long before he passed away to preserve the family legacy.
Oh, for at least 100 years, and then he crossed out when he registered it with the state, he crossed out the 100 years and wrote perpetual. That's ongoing forever. He didn't have any intent in that place getting broken up. He never had any intent for his grandson to be over there roughing it in the cabin, shitting in a bucket. No, we should have never left the house. That will that so-called will, it didn't even mention family belongings or anything because the family was never intended to go anywhere.
Well, because they just whip something together real quick to try and pass it by, and
and then you got the section of Highway 83. It said that they're barred from buying it
for food. They want for food for what it really was meant for.
You're barred from buying it, and then you ended up with it because you had legal games of paperwork.
Talk about the partition of how they separated the property and took the most valued property because it's the agricultural land.
So, not only losing my grants, very first thing my cousin does is try to partition the land and tries to separate me from it. During that, my mom died. They gave me a little bit of time, not much. Then they turned around and started hammering on me again to split that land up. I knew that it was wrong. I started doing my own research, started finding the South Dakota code laws that backed up my statements. I tried to present it to Quentin Riggins with Gunderson Palmer Law Firm. Gunderson Palmer Law Firm. Quentin Riggins, you didn't do your job. That was your duty to look up and find the laws that pertain to me. You didn't do it. That's why you got fired. You got fired because you didn't do your job. Well, out of desperation and because they're saying, oh, if you don't pick, you're going to have to flip a quarter. They'll decide for you. Well, I found a logical way that both parties would have had hay ground, still had some award crick. You know, the fairest way possible of splitting it. That was agreement. What'd they do? They wanted to push me through into court. There was no more need for court at that point in time. But they had an alternative motive involved, and then so they were pushing me into court. They split it in a different way than what we agreed upon, taking all the hayland. So now I don't even have an opportunity to make hay to feed my cattle through the winter. That's pretty low. That's damn low, actually. And I put in motions that the judge ignored, just Judge Christine Klinger. She's now got a federal lawsuit against her, and she's now
and criminal soon.
Yeah, and she ignored my motions. She never ruled on my motions. Not only that, I gave a conditional acceptance letter. That conditional acceptance letter said that I was not going to be in that courtroom until they answered all my questions. I wanted an investigation on what took part, and that was my right as a beneficiary to have that done. They ignored it.
They have a trust indenture that they have to follow the law, follow that trust. That's
bottom line is they broke that partnership agreement. That was the most binding legal document.
14 times in just the time you've been talking.
They avoided it like the plague. They avoided it like the plague. Lenny Starks, he avoided it like the plague. I sent it to him. I said, Lenny, before this partition took place, I said, Lenny, you got the opportunity to cure here. He ignored it. After I sent him that partnership agreement, he ignored it. But he sure likes to follow me on Facebook. So does Chris. So does Kip. And if they act like I don't know.
So do the sheriffs.
So do the sheriffs. A bunch of volunteer fire departments in Murdo and the state's attorney. Come on. I mean, Kurt Soleil, this new... We can go into that part next.
Well, we all got to know Kurt with your recent Facebook posts here, whether he liked it or not. I can't imagine it's going well for him right now.
Probably not. Probably not. You know, they removed me as executor as my mom's estate. I had a fiduciary duty to protect my mom's assets.
Protect himself and his sister.
And myself and my sister. Now, these lawyers were sitting there, oh, you can't do this, and oh, it's going to cost you so much to do this. You know why Kurt Soleil got put into position? It's because I stood up and said, this is wrong.
Meanwhile, he has the rights, titles of interest of everything, of all the property, and they circumvented and they made him.
Wrongfully conveyed my mom's brand. All right, Dwayne Sinke, you're on there too, but so was my mom. That means that my mom's estate had an interest in that brand, and you went and conveyed it without even notifying the estate. Want to know why you didn't notify the estate? Because I was the estate. And you knew I was going to fight you about it. Then you went and transferred my mom's land. It was yours and hers. I was the one that put up the $2,500 to even buy that little piece of land there in Midland, South Dakota. So when you went and transferred it just because it said you had the right of survivalship, well, South Dakota code law states that you can only have the right of survivalship if you're in good standing. When she died getting a protection restraining order from the man, they weren't in good standing. And then he got his hands on life insurance money. 30,000, 30 to 35,000 from AAA life insurance. That money didn't belong to him. It belonged to my mom's estate. And now these assholes are trying to kick me out of my house over these debts. Well, first off, if Dwayne wouldn't have been able to get his hands on that life insurance money, there would be no debts. It wouldn't have put us into financial struggles and chaos. Then he comes out to the ranch and steals my mom's cows. My mom kept paperwork. She was paying me to fucking have her cows out at that ranch. Because that cousin Jessica, we were making sure we were doing everything by the books. My mom was an accountant, so she was keeping record. When Dwayne and his brother Russ came and picked their cattle up, Dwayne picked up his cow. His other cows were over there at Rob's Flat somewhere. I don't know. Ain't none of my business. But they weren't there. Now I got other people that know that those were my mom's cows. I got written testimonies that those are my mom's cows. I got video proof. Those were my mom's cows. The only reason I didn't slap my brand on them cows was because I was trying to do the right and honorable thing and wait until everything was falling into place before I just go start converting things over like a thief would. Sorry.
He's absolutely correct, though. Everything that's been done is egregious. What's happened to the Calkins family. I wouldn't want this to happen to anybody. And you got to realize if you don't help Tyler out at this particular point in junction, that you'll be facing the next, because it's not about this person or that person. It's the system in place is there to basically leech off the all.
Well, like I told Kurt Soleil before he told us that he was appointed by the bar. The only reason why you're here today, Kurt, is because I stood up to do the right thing. Morally and ethically, I was doing the right thing.
It's your duty. It's your duty to your family.
State law to do so.
The highest form of trust law is the trust indenture of the Bible, and he was absolutely following every to the T. And
just because I didn't know the legal wordings for it, my moral compass is right. Right is right, and wrong is wrong. Now, Dwayne, I know you're probably going to hear this, or maybe your grandchildren will hear this and relay it back to you. It's wrong. You shouldn't have took that money. You shouldn't have took my mom's cows. You cost us our mother because of your actions. And then you think you're going to profit for it? And then the courts, you should be ashamed of yourself. You're going to turn around and make me pay for his lawyer expenses?
After you signed everything that...
Yeah, they signed the same judge signed the protection order and then turns around and orders me to pay Dwayne's attorney fees? Are you shitting me? Are you shitting me? And the man not only cost us our mom, he's trying to cost me my house now. My mom's belongings. He came, stole my mom's cattle. And I also have video recording before my mom died. She wanted me to tell Dwayne he wasn't allowed out there at the ranch without me there. You cannot come on my land unless I am present. He does it anyway. I tell the Jones County Sheriff, Rich, hi, I told you. He trespassed and he stole cattle.
That's nothing.
And you called it a civil matter.
That's not a civil matter.
Sounds criminal to me. That's theft.
They do nothing. They're in cahoots. There's something deeper, heavier. We don't know who's influencing them, but there's something completely, it's a cartel of unimaginable proportion. It's ridiculous.
Someone may run into like one of these problems, right? And somebody tried to do this, and most people honestly would lay down. Nobody would go through this. And like you've said, Aaron, you wouldn't wish this on your worst enemy because of the mental anguish that Tyler has gone through. And you yourself at this point as well, you've been tied into this for several months now. And, your name comes up regularly in the courtroom. We know they don't like you.
Absolutely
at
not.
This point, they're getting to the point where they don't like me either. My name is Bubba Starts. I have the Scene projects. We have the Patriot Broadcasting Project, and we're not shutting up anytime soon. So get used to
No,
this.
No.
no, Bubba, you've been talking with me for how long now? How much have I learned? I'm not backing down. You're gonna what? Throw me in a jailhouse? Try to throw me under the jailhouse? I'm still not backing down. I get out whenever I do get out. If you even put me away, if you're smart, you would get away from it right away. You got a judge that created a felony. I got an illegal document here that should not exist, but it does.
We have evidence proof of the different
Violations, the scopes of warrants.
ridiculous.
You got. Oh, it just
Well,
keeps
and the
going and
evidence
going.
continues to mount against them because they just keep stepping over more lines and incriminating themselves even
Oh,
further.
and then they forced me to open up a closet that I wanted it to stay shut forever. But I'll be damned if I'm going to sit there and be silent while this happens. Now, I won't discuss what that is because it's very sensitive to me, but
It's very brave for bringing it out.
they're forcing my hand.
Well, we've had a lot of people obviously reaching out to you through your social media, to us through the social media, and people want to know
Thank you,
how they can
everybody.
help you. And I think the best way really
Start
is
calling
for them-
these, start calling these individuals. Let them know you're watching. Let them know you're paying attention.
Well, the biggest thing is
Show-
we have that
show the
court
court.
date. We have that court date on the 8th of September. Now all we need is peaceful people to be officers and witnesses. That's all we need. Peaceful officers that are willing to witness the corruption, because regardless of what happens, they are so badly in violation. I mean, it's criminal beyond belief. I don't
And
even know how to explain it.
sheriffs, you should quit being lapdogs. And maybe you should brush up on your constitution because you know a duty and an oath to that. Not these judges, not these fat cats and people that line your pockets. Not your buddy down the street. You owe an oath to the American people. You owe an oath to the Constitution.
You're warring against the Constitution, and that's just conspiracy.
And quit using little legal holes. Oh, it's a civil matter or this or that. No, you're brushing off something that you can handle and take care of right away.
Well, we can debunk all criminal activity because all crimes are commercial. 27 CFR 7211. So anybody who's think they're getting charged as a criminal matter is actually a civil matter because all crimes are commercial, which most people don't realize.
They would really like me to just disappear, but I'm not, unless you guys do it. So, hey, everybody, if you're watching and I disappear,
We're not
something's
going
wrong.
anywhere.
No, well, and we need the public, right? Not just in the outcry.
Oh, yeah,
We've
John
had a lot
Hanson,
of people.
let's talk about some of these legislation people, these district people, these people that advocated for the Mod family. Where are you at? Or was that a political stunt?
Yeah, if
You
you
know, we
really
got a
cared
lot of
about
bad
South
things
Dakota
going on.
families and legacy and citizens and the Constitution, you would be standing with Tyler and with the Calkins family ranch to make sure that this family ranch continues to operate in perpetuity as a South Dakota cattle ranch. That was
That
the
ranch has
point.
been in that family over 100 years. You know, they've expanded, yes, but it was never intention for it to be broken up the way it is. I mean, it's
The
a
partnership,
6-year-old would know better.
again, the partnership's purpose is to provide a means for the
And it's
family to
very
become
clear.
knowledgeable.
There's not a lot of
Very clear.
ambiguity in the partnership agreement
No.
whatsoever.
No.
No, they just circumvented and cherry picked some certain parts and tried to say, "Oh, well, you could do this." Well, you know what? I learned how to read that contract, and you're dead wrong.
Well, and let's
And I'll argue it
juxtapose.
any day you want.
Right. Let's juxtapose the thorough partnership agreement with the one page, looks like handwritten, scribbled will that was discovered, right? Will, I'm using that term very loosely right now, that was discovered posthumously to your grandfather's death and not discovered by any family member.
It wasn't even discovered until Chris Hathaway. I got you on video for an hour-long conversation there, and I already talked to him about this. I was the last human being of our family to touch that Muhammad Ali book. And then when you guys tried to steal our family Bible and other things, we went back to the house and you let us have some things. And you, Chris, you're like, oh, here, this Muhammad Ali book. You should have it. Your grandfather really liked boxing. Well, no shit. He wanted to be a boxer. Act like I don't know my grandfather. He was like my dad. You know, I might not have been there all the time, and I might not have seen you or Kip when I was out there because I didn't go out there to see hired hands. I went out there to see my grandfather, not you, you know. But that Muhammad Ali book had this copy of this will in it. I went and gave it to Cassie Went, who was my mom's attorney at the time. Cassie Went turns around, instead of running that thing for fingerprints like she should have, because my grandfather never touched it, she turns around and gives it back to the damn banker.
Another malpractice.
That banker, Lenny Starks, Farm Credit Services, you're a conflict of interest. My grandfather didn't like you. I got people that are willing to come testify on that. And what was it? Your last words he ever said to me about you? Don't be telling that man my personal business. I inadvertently let him know he was dying because I was sitting there talking with Jackson. Jackson asked me, well, how bad is it? I said, well, hell, he ain't ever going to tell nobody, but he's dying on us. I thought it was pretty self-explanatory when he had blood coming out his nose and coughing out blood that he wasn't going to make it. But my grandfather made sure that I knew, don't be telling that man my personal business. And then he becomes his executor? I don't think so.
All from the fictitious piece of paper they're claiming was your
page 1 and 2,
grandfather's
that
last
will,
and
page 1 and
testament.
2. 100-year-old cattle ranch. Doesn't even have his signatures or initial. That's blank computer paper. Anybody that has a computer can turn around and type that bullshit up in any way they want to. You're going to tell me you're not going to make sure you do your due diligence when you're talking about an operation that big, and you're not going to have your I's dotted and your T's crossed and signatures here? You guys for more signatures and stuff for a car note.
It wasn't registered. The will was never registered till 5 weeks after. First off, there was never power of attorney to take action in the first place. It was all merchant law and contract and basically privateering. That's all it was.
Well,
$1 million
the reason
$1
there
million
wasn't a will is because there was this partnership agreement. The partnership agreement takes care of what all the things that a will
Absolutely.
would.
That's why he stopped on the will. I believe that the
partnership,
grandfather.
that partnership agreement says it voids anything outside the purpose and authority of that partnership is void and to no effect. Now these judges have avoided it like the plague. Now I started paying attention.
But it's the only piece
on.
of truth in this entire case. It is the only documentation that establishes everything. It provides its own definitions. It provides for all of the things that have come into question throughout this entire case.
Should never have gone to this. This is insane what's actually happened.
No, they really want
these
that
people are
land.
psychopaths. It's all
Right.
I don't know how else to define them.
Keep getting planted with attorneys and attorneys and attorneys.
Well, it's
People
another
that should
thing.
be
How does
doing
the state bar keep assigning you attorneys to your?
Well,
why do you
because
need
they're
these
against them.
attorneys?
They want the property.
Right.
They want
Oh,
that property.
And that's why I got a RICO case pending against them. And guess what? You guys keep giving me
We're
more
pursuing it too.
and more evidence of why that lawsuit was brought up in good faith.
Well, we are going to be there for your next court date. That's September 8th, 2 p.m. Central Time, Murdo, South Dakota. We need peaceful observers to just be there. We need people.
Yep.
We're not coming there. We're not trying to make a fuss, but we need to be there to
You
witness
come in honor
the
and
corruption.
peace.
Well,
to
yeah, because they
witness
don't
the
want me bringing in
corruption
a camera.
firsthand.
They don't want me bringing in cameras to be able to show what they're doing because they like to hide. Well, you shouldn't be hiding. You're in these positions to better the people, not destroy them, not to steal, not plundering. Well, you getting a kickback? You're writing what is that? Indemnity bond? No, not indemnity bonds.
Payment bonds, performance bonds, bid bonds. And you know what? They make an appearance bond because I used to work as a senior software engineer for core clerks. So I can vet it, validate it. I don't know how the banking all works. So every time you show up to the court, they get a payment. That's securitization. That's called peonage or personage too as well, because the capitalization, they're capitalizing on your estate.
And they'll deny it left and right. And
Oh,
then
yeah.
they want to hide behind oh, well, bar member, you can't be practicing law. Well, the Constitution says otherwise, and your state statutes don't trump
I have
constitutional law.
represented myself in court several times at this point, so we know that they're full of shit there.
Quit hiding
There's
behind
Article 12 of the South Dakota Constitution was enacted in 1978, 1979, but because of the operating capacity and for the intent, it totally invalidates, it makes it null and void. So anybody who says that you can't act as a lay person or as a friend, I have the amazing arguments to just shoot it down. I mean, bottom line, you have a judiciary that's being run by the Roman Curia, and most people don't even realize that what's actually going on.
Oh, and there's so much other shit going on. I went to the Rapid City Council meeting here the other day, and they had must have been a layover meeting. Aaron was there too. It was the first deal. It was about 5 o'clock, a little after 5 o'clock. I went down there to pay my power bill. It was about an hour before the true meeting, and those city officials were sitting up there. They went to go pass this motion through. They didn't even talk about it. And you got this quick eye guy, right? Just as quick as they could say it. You know, it's like, wait, what the hell are you guys doing? This is the first one I ever been to. This doesn't seem right. And then they all start laughing. Ha ha. Well, maybe we should talk about what's in this bill before we just go and pass it. It's like, what kind of shit are you guys doing? You guys are messing with the city's tax money and the people's money. And then you got the next meeting coming in and you got family member after family member, old people coming in saying, we got to do something about these taxes. These taxes are killing us. We're paying more in property tax than we ever paid for our mortgages.
Tax the citizens more
and these
so you
people
can
are
give
going to lose their
TIF
homes.
incentives to the corporations and the people that are lining
like
your
Chick-fil-A.
pockets to make it
Let's
happen.
bring in Chick-fil-A. We're gonna give Chick-fil-A. There's another one. I can't remember the other one. We're gonna donate them land, and then we're gonna pay them a bunch of money to come here. That's a Fortune 500 company. They can pay for themselves to come here if they want to come here. It doesn't
All under the
need to
guise
come
of
off the back
economic
of the
development. Yeah.
Oh, can I say one thing about the taxes? Taxes are voluntary. Learn the truth, figure it out.
Yeah.
I don't have to get into it. If you want to know what the details are, I'd be happy. You can reach out to me and I will give you more than enough information to shoot anything down.
And anybody that's willing to help, reach out.
Yeah.
Reach out.
Well, and we're going to grow it here.
We're going to do the same.
Once again, September 8th, 2 p.m. at the courthouse in Murdo, South Dakota. That's out in the middle of the state. We need to be there to support Tyler. Any of you that have been following along with this story, let's show up for Tyler and to give him a little bit of protection just by being witnesses to what they have tried to do to him. Obviously, at every turn, they're going to continue to get you to just, the goal is to get you to roll over, to take everything away from you so that you just roll over and die. And if you won't do that, maybe they'll take their shot at you.
It might be because there's oil under our land. Who knows?
Well, it's starting to become more and more clear that there's something much larger at play. This is more than, it's worth more than just the millions, right? And because just in land alone, you're talking about a multi-million-dollar ranch. Like, it's just, it was
Multiple
obvious to me
generations.
from the get-go that there was something more at play. And the farther things go along and the harder they are trying to silence you, to render you homeless, to possibly make plays on your life inside of a jail cell, then they will stop at nothing. And the only thing that's going to change that is not just public outcry online, which we've been doing a very good job of. I think we can attest to that now.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
By
Thank you,
showing
everybody,
up
for watching, too.
physically with you and letting these people know that this is not, the system against just one man and his friend. You are coming against all the citizens of not just South Dakota, but of the United States of America. This is a much larger issue than just you and just the Calkins family ranch. Like you said, if they're willing to do this to you, they will be willing to do this to anyone, and we know for a fact that even this small group of individuals has already done this stuff to several families around in this area. They didn't earn the name the Bad River Mafia for nothing. So, with that...
Well, we're on the War Creek, and it was the last stand. We're making the stand again.
It's funny how history repeats itself, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. It sure is. Anybody that reaches out, go ahead, contact us. You know, the more people that have information on these people, we're gaining more and more and more and more. So don't be afraid to step out, reach out.
And if you are afraid, just give us what you know and we'll put it out there because we are not afraid. You won't
Yes.
shut me up. You haven't been able to at this point. I don't care. I don't care what they have to say. They've already put me in prison in this state for something I have a license to go do now anyway, right? So what more can you do to me other than try to make a play on my life? And at this point, we've established a motive for them to do so. They would be blatant in that operation. So, fellas, as always, I'm praying for you. I
Thank you.
am here with you every time you need something to share. We will continue to share your social media posts and to get this information out there and continue to build this team around you. And September 8th, 2 p.m., the county courthouse in Murdo, South Dakota. We hope to see many more of you there with us in support of not just Tyler Calkins-Stoeser and his family's ranch, but in support of rights that we have as
Principle of it.
Americans. Exactly.
Yes.
We have to stand on principle. We have to stand for something, or else we will fall for more of their BS. And we're beyond that now. We cannot be silent. We cannot sit down and idly watch as they steal from our neighbors. We cannot do it.
Thank you, Bubba.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us. Thank you, everybody, for watching out there. Share it, get it out there, spread the word.